All right, we have a case submitted to us today. It is for a delayed immediate placement on site number 4. And the history that was given to us on this tooth is that tooth number 4 was in pain. The tooth came out. The scan and the CEREC scan is approximately 6 weeks after the tooth was taken out. And we want to evaluate the plan and evaluate the site. There are a couple of specific questions that was presented on this case, and it relates to the bone level and the way it appears on the scan. So if we take our thing right here, we can see that what we see here is bone level that looks like this. So there is some concern about where and if is there bone right here. So my experience has been on cases like this is that not that the bone doesn't exist right here, but in fact it does exist, but what happens oftentimes is the bone is not thick enough to show up on the radiograph. So in a case like this, I would go under the assumption, and you know what they say about assume makes an ass out of you and me, but I would safely go under the assumption that our bone level is probably somewhere in this ballpark. Now I do want to show you a couple of areas and kind of keep an eye here on this cross-sectional view. I want to show you a couple of areas. As we use our slider, we can kind of see right here the bones start to show back up. And you can kind of see it right there. So what this is telling me is that the bone just may be thin in this area. Now, I don't have the benefit of been there when the tooth came out, so I don't know if the ridge was lost there in the extraction process, but it could be that it was just thin. So, and nonetheless, quite honestly, the good news is if we can get primary stability, we have good buccal plate here. You know, if we have a few threads showing the palatal, it wouldn't be the end of the day, but it looks like our tissue is nice and thick right here. So I would be very comfortable moving forward with this case. Just from a retrospect perspective, one of the things that I like to do with delayed immediate placement is take the scan prior to the extraction and plan my implant based on that, and then go ahead and place the implant and then graft around it as necessary or if necessary. So do give that some thought next time, because that will allow you to see the tooth and everything. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our implant plan itself. Mesiodistally, our positioning is pretty good. We've got plenty of space between the roots, so we're not in any danger there. Buccolingually, we're okay. The area that I have a little concern about is right here. So there are two solutions to this particular issue. One, we can consider using a thinner implant in the sense that if we went to a 3.5 millimeter implant, we see we have a little more space there. I'm just concerned in doing this, if we have any trajectory, you know, if our guide's off just a hair, which all guides are off just a 1/4 millimeter or so, that we may thin this out, or just the fact of drilling here and putting the implant in may thin that out as well. So one option again is to go to a smaller implant. The other option is to just move the implant back to be a little more centered and maybe even tilt it just a hair like so. And here you can see now we have a little bit better positioning in this particular site. Again, the original position is not bad. It's just, and here's what the original position looks like. It's just something that we have to be careful about. It may, the good news is this is a maxillary posterior area, soft bone. It may be we do an undersized osteotomy and allow the implant to spread the bone, thickening that bone area there. But I've done many of these cases with no issue. It's just one of those things that we do need to keep an eye on. And then the other thing that was came up is the hitting of the adjacent teeth. And there's not really too much of a choice of that. And truthfully, what I see with this tooth looks to be super erupted, quite honestly, is this tooth probably has needs to be adjusted. So I would have a tendency to adjust the mesial of tooth number 3 here to take care of that. Again, the other option is if we did go to that smaller 3.5 by 13 millimeter implant, we could then, that would also have a corresponding smaller sleeve. So that's an option. Other than that, the plan looks extremely well done. The occlusal plane is just a hair off here. You can see how it's going down like so. Let me just take a moment here to go ahead and draw that out. So our occlusal plane is going like this, where in reality we probably want that occlusal plane to be more like this. So the fix for that would be to rotate our implant, and as you see, as you can see, as we rotate it, we do correct that issue to a certain degree, but then what we do bring in is hitting the adjacent teeth. So what we know here is that we do have to accept a little bit of a compromise there. So generally speaking, very well done, ideally planned implant. Don't worry so much about this bone right here. I mean, it is something to be, aware of. But again, because of the radiological density of this, it may not show up in our X-ray. So hopefully this has been helpful, and thank you very much.